other day. I remember my dad passed away on November 15th. And that year when he died, it was 2008, Thanksgiving and Christmas were just a blur. My heart wasn't in it. And then the next year, I felt the incredible anguish of him not being there. It was beyond the shock and then into the grief and the loss. So think about what these people were doing. They not only were saying, we're going to have a Thanksgiving dinner, but we're going to invite all the Native Americans who are in this area to come join us. That is really one of the true spiritual lessons of Thanksgiving. Every one of us meets adversity, yes? Has challenges and sorrow in our lives. Every one of us loses something or someone that we highly value if we live long enough, if we're on the planet long enough, yes? Yeah. But it's the choice we make as spiritual people, just like the pilgrims, to be grateful and to be thankful in the midst of it. No matter how tough life has been, the blessings always outweigh the challenges in our lives. Do you believe me? Yes. Just in case you're wondering, I'm going to continue with the story of Squanto, because it gets even deeper what he did. Let's look at what he gave to the pilgrims. During the first 2 critical years of the infancy of the colony, Squanto was there to help the pilgrims. He stayed by their side. He helped them build houses, plant and cultivate crops, and learn to use the land. He helped them build 7 private homes and 2 communal buildings. But the most incredible part of the story is Squanto spoke perfect English. He was a Powhatuxet, and am I saying that right? P-A-W-T-U-X-E-T, Native American. But how did he learn to speak English? Well, this is the most important part of the story. This is the true spiritual lesson for us all, I think. As a boy, Squanto was playing along the shore of this country, and some early explorers captured him, and they put him in the hull of their ship and took him to a land where he would work as a slave for the rest of his boyhood and into his early manhood. One day he was able to escape, and he went to England and worked for a wealthy merchant. And during this time, he mastered the English language. But his dream was always, always to get back home, to get back to his people. So finally, just 6 months before the pilgrims arrived, that cold December day in 1620, Squanto returned to his people. Now just for a moment, think about all the adversity, all the pain, all the challenges that he must have experienced in his life up to that point. And yet here Squanto was, back in the country, finally back in his homeland, back with his people, just months before the pilgrims arrived. And he could speak English, and he knew the ways of these English people. He knew how to communicate with both them and, of course, with his own people. He hadn't forgotten his language. And because of this, he was able to bring these 2 groups together in harmony. What might have been a really dicey situation, he was the bridge between the 2 groups. And they were able to live and work together side by side. He was an elderly man by this time. That's how long it took for him to raise the money to be able to get back to his homeland. And the very harsh winter also took a terrible toll on his people. Not just half the pilgrims died. Hundreds of Native Americans died that winter. From his tribe, his people. But he was still there for the pilgrims. Are you getting this? And during the last 2 years of his life, he gave all that he had and could to these pilgrims, to be sure that they would survive. He's really a great unsung hero who used the adversity in his life, right, to be a blessing to others. Didn't have to do it. He used that adversity of the capture, the enslavement, the years of living and working in a foreign land, learning the language and the ways of a foreign people, yet always, always dreaming of returning home to the land of his childhood and to his people. He used all that to bless the pilgrims. And finally, with just 2 years left to live, he gives back. He gets back here. Oh, I already said that. And what does he do? He spends those 2 years blessing and helping these people. And you know, the thing that's ironic to me is he spent a lifetime trying to get away from them. Do you get that? Because even working for that wealthy merchant in England, that's like being an what's it called? A something servant? Indentured servant. So many of us are here today living in this country the way it is now, in large part due to him. For some of us, those very first pilgrims in Plymouth are our ancestors. We can say that up here in New England, right? And I can say with certainty that all of us are here today enjoying, hopefully, a service in a unity center, church, spiritual community, because those pilgrims survived. Did you get that? Crucial. You know, other people could have established this country who said the religion is going to be this. Go to Europe. I lived in Europe. There are countries where there's one religion in that country. All right? That didn't happen here. Who were some of the people, the earliest people to come over here were the ones who supported freedom in religious thought. So we're here. Thank you, Squanto. Thank you. So Thanksgiving is a time where no matter what hardships or adversity we may have gone through in our lives, there's always an opportunity to be brave and grateful like the pilgrims, and to be a blessing and a true example of love like Squanto. This is the real message of Thanksgiving. So as we enter in this week of thankful celebration, may we take with us a message that we get from one of the psalmists. In Psalm 107, verse 1, where it says, enter into God's gates with thanksgiving, and into God's courts with praise. Be thankful unto God, and bless God's name. For the Lord is good, God's mercy is everlasting, and God's truth endureth to all generations. May we always share our truth. May we always share our true stories. Not half the story, the whole story. And remember and honor those who paved the way for us to be here today. And may we always give thanks and praise to the almighty, everlasting, all-loving, everywhere present substance that we call God. Let us stand and join together now in singing the song, God is Our Source.